Everyone. Hello and welcome to the session. Please let me know if I am properly audible and visible. All good to go? So those watching me for the first time, I'm Niharika John Mehra, your faculty of English, and here I am with another session of editorial analysis. So we have a great deal here, that's for you all. But before going ahead, if you can please let me know if I am properly audible and visible. Yeah. So, I'm your faculty of English here, and we have regular sessions on this channel. Okay. Um, okay. If any of you can help me with the confirmation, that would be. The classes, my schedule is like so. So Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday, 1:30 p.m. we have sessions which are EPFO practice sessions. There are many questions that we solve in that one session of 45-50 minutes, and it's very helpful, very beneficial. Then we have Monday to Saturday sessions here, and they are at 8 p.m. These are the sessions where we continue with editorial analysis. Editorial analysis is something you all must attend because it helps you improve your descriptive English, subjective English. It helps you comprehend better, helps your vocabulary, grammar, every single thing that you need to do great in English section of any paper. This is the session for you. So we are going to start with skimming, and we will move to vocabulary and then grammar and then some MCQ. Okay, so there is also a set where you will be needed to recall the things which you read in the article. This is today's editorial from the Hindu newspaper. We are going to read it, of course, not asking you to remember from what you read in the morning, in case you read. तो ये चीज़ों को follow करना ज़रूरी है. Skimming is actually taking a bigger picture, not going into details, jumping and reading. So you don't read word to word and in details, you don't translate. Not pronunciation of all the words is needed. So we don't focus on the pronunciation, even if it is in our mind. Sometimes we do that, okay? So you have to look at it, grasp, and your mind should point to the important words and grasp the main meaning, the summary of it, okay? Or maybe the main message that you get from the editorial. That's what is needed even in your exam. Okay, so we practice this skimming, and you are given now a timer. So time of 2.5 minutes to go through this. You first will read in given 2.5 minutes, and in 1 or 2 lines you will mention what is the summary or what is the main idea of the given article. It would be great if in one or two lines you can let me know what you have understood. Is the main message of the passage. Also, there is something very important for you. Of course, do make sure to like and share. Also, subscribe the channel. But do check out the description box as well, because there you have link to a Telegram group where you get regular updates and PDFs of classes. Okay, so the passage here it's about, of course, court and the proceedings. Okay, so misplaced urgency. Okay, now misplaced urgency on the Madras High Court interim order that was ordered just for a time being, and misplaced is misconceived, ill advised, it wasn't appropriate. Displaced is not in the right place. Now, misplaced, on the other hand, gives you the sense that something was not suitable, it was not appropriate with respect to something. So, such urgency on the Madras High Court order. The Madras High Court has, in effect, undermined the Supreme Court ruling. So, here we may be seeing ahead how the High Court here didn't follow certain things and undermine what was told to them by the Supreme Court. Okay, by staying the operation of Tamil Nadu's multiple amended acts to the extent that they empower the government to appoint VCs of 18 universities. So the Madras High Court has effectively halted the momentum that followed last month's landmark Supreme Court verdict. So there was some Supreme Court verdict. Now there was a stay that was put on operation of Tamil Nadu's multiple amended acts, and it went to the level, to the extent that they empower these acts, they empower the government to the point where government can appoint VCs of 18 state universities. Okay, the court has effectively halted the momentum. Now, momentum went down. It was paused that followed last month's landmark verdict. The verdict that granted deemed assent to 10 bills. Now, there was a Supreme Court verdict, फैसला था, and it deemed, that means it considered, it gave its concern to 10 bills on which the Tamil Nadu governor had inordinately delayed action. Inordinately means excessively, beyond the limit, unnecessarily, बहुत लंबा खिंच गया था. So that kind of delayed action के ऊपर इनका verdict आया. So this is like a whole complicated line here. The interim order uh, delivered by Justices G.R. Swaminathan and Lakshmi Narayan effectively restores to the Governor Chancellor the powers of appointing CS. So now VCs. Now what is happening? The interim order that's what was given in the title, and that was delivered by these justices. It restores to the Governor Chancellor the power that he can appoint VCs, which those very bills has sought to divest. Okay, so now the bills here, they wanted to divest it, and this is what is the outcome of it. The result is a continuing stalemate. Now anything that is in stalemate is a deadlock situation. ना आगे बढ़ रहा है ना आप पीछे जा सकते हैं, बस अटके हुए हैं. Okay, so this is what is the passage saying till now. आगे बढ़ते हैं और क्या क्या हो रहा है. Nearly a dozen universities remain headless because अभी कौन अपॉइंट करेगा, कितना अपॉइंट करेगा, पता नहीं है. So nearly a dozen of them, they are now with no head, no one to lead and run them with appointments frozen until further judicial intervention. Next सुनवाई में पता चलेगा. The vacation bench, acting on a petition by a lawyer, held interim relief was justified. So the vacation bench says that interim relief was justified because the impugned acts. अभी acts कौन से हैं? Impugned का मतलब होता है something that was disrupted. Okay, it was challenged as it was wrong. तो वो वाले acts थे fall foul of the law laid down by the Supreme Court and prior rulings on VC appointments. Okay, so ये गलत है. Supreme Court doesn't consent to this. These include Professor Dr. Srijit versus Dr. Rajshri and Gandhi K. Gadvi versus the state of Gujarat. So ये किसके बीच के हैं. Now such information is not important for us to read in completion because the question आएगा तब देखेंगे. In both cases, the appointment of VCs was quashed for violating regulation 7.3 of the UGC regulations. Okay, तो हम यहाँ पे क्या देख रहे हैं कि ये जो है दोनों ही केसेस में ये अपॉइंटमेंट क्वाश कर दिया गया by stating that it violated the UGC regulations which govern the composition of search committees and procedures for VC appointments. So regulations है जो UGC है commission है that governs how the committee will be formed and the procedures for the appointments. The High Court rejected the state's argument. अभी High Court क्या बोल रहा है? That it had adopted the UGC regulations with a caveat excluding regulation 7.3. There is a condition. Caveat means some kind of a caution. So High Court ने reject कर दिया argument that it had adopted UGC regulations with a warning excluding 7.3 जो पहले बताया regulation. The judges held that stripping the chancellor of appointment powers was plainly unconstitutional. So judges का मानना है that VC के पास से powers का ले लिया जाना, stripping. So whenever the powers are taken away, that's called stripping of powers. It was plainly not as per the constitution. It is so glaring and obvious that we cannot shut our eyes, they wrote. उनका statement quote करा जा रहा है, so we get that quote in the quotation mark, that it is so glaring, that means it is so blatant and obvious that we cannot shut our eyes. We have to consider it. We have to see it. That's what they wrote. What is equally glaring, again, it is shocking that, however, is the misplaced urgency with which the bench moved to deprive the amended acts. Now, here author is questioning. He is questioning the misplaced urgency, the inappropriate urgency. It was not the actual emergency with which the bench moved to deprive. The bench decided to deprive the acts of legal effect. The High Court overlooked the council submission. Higher education submission जो था, High Court ने माना नहीं उसको, that the state had mentioned before the Supreme Court seeking urgent listing of a petition to transfer the instant case to itself. So now there was something that the High Court did and that went actually against the Supreme Court's what they have said. So it violated the Supreme Court seeking urgent listing of a petition. The petition was to transfer the instant case to itself, and that the Supreme Court had indicated. Now Supreme Court इशारा कर रहा है that the High Court may be apprised of this fact. गलती से नहीं हुआ. They knew and they didn't do something. Judicial propriety would suggest, now anything which is propriety is the decorum we maintain. So amongst judges in the court, that kind of decorum would suggest that a lower court must exercise restraint in such cases. It is the job of the Supreme Court to take action. Moreover, the interim order was passed without affording the state adequate time to file its counter affidavit. Second problem was that this order by the High Court, the interim order, it was passed without affording the state adequate. The state didn't get actual time to counter the affidavit. In any case, while the current stop on VC appointments persists, Given the conflicting case precedents, Kalyani and Jagdish among them, the Supreme Court should it hear the case, अगर सुनता है in the ongoing condition, must settle once and for all. So now author is saying कि ये जो रुका हुआ है जिसकी वजह से universities are headless, leaderless, Supreme Court must once and for all finalize the things. The critical question remains: can UGC regulation issued by a subordinate authority, in this case, subordinate authority is the High Court. So, can these regulations override means nullify state legislation enacted under constitutional authority? So the question is कि क्या ये interim order को रखे रहना चाहिए, because the regulations, UGC regulations, which are now issued by not the highmost authority but the subordinate one, can that nullify the legislation enacted under constitutional authority by the Supreme Court? So this is author is leaving the readers on this brim of thinking for oneself. Okay, ऐसा है. चलो कुछ vocabulary देखते हैं. Interim is provisional for time being, temporary, इसे हम अंतरिम बोलते हैं हिंदी में. Inordinately means beyond normal limits, something which is excessively done, unduly done. Divest is to strip or remove, okay, to take away, to deprive someone of something. Impugn is challenged as a wrong. So कभी हम बोलते हैं कि ये जो order है, ये rule है, ये फैसला है, we are challenging that this is not correct, this is the contested thing, उसे हम impugn बोलते हैं. Caveat is a warning, a condition, especially in the law related world we use this word. Excuse me. Glaring is an adjective which means blatant, something which is very obvious but it would still shock you. Okay. Apprised, keeping someone informed, notified, bata ke chalna, है ना? So I will apprise you of my class timings. That means I will let you know. I will inform you. Propriety means conformity to rules and norms, following rules and norms, maintaining the decorum. Okay, there is no one putting pistol on your head, but that's how you must do it. Restraint is self-control, moderation. Impasse is a deadlock. You don't know where to go. You are stuck at a point, can't move anywhere, and there is no progress. Override is to prevail or to cancel out. That means overrule karna, nullify karna, nishprabhavi karna. Stalemate is a situation where again it's same. Deadlock, and that we already did it. Deemed is considered in a specific way. So if I am considering something in a very specific manner, it is deemed. So stalemate and impasse आपको synonyms भी मिल गए यहाँ पे, by the way. चलो. Subject and verb agreement of this first sentence, which was quite a lengthy sentence. पढ़ो समझो यहाँ पे क्या है. Subject verb agreement, main subject and the verb. Okay, by saying the operation of Tamil Nadu's amended acts, nothing to do with my main sentence. To the extent of whatever, again, nothing to do with my main subject. The court has halted. There you go. The court The caught word is singular subject and has halted is subject, the verb agreement. Halted is the main word. Mm, part of speech. Part of speech of the encircled word. Now, it is adjective. Relief was justified. Okay, that means the interim relief अपने आप में कैसा था, how it was justified because the acts are laid down by the Supreme Court. So you need to understand the place where after was or were you have main verb in third form. In that case it will be passive voice, or it is only explaining, helping us to know more about now. तो यहाँ पे relief कैसा था, how was the relief, it was justified. That's what we are seeing. It is acting as adjective, verb third form acting as adjective here. I hope you get it now. Next one, part of speech. It is adverb. Part of speech. Next word, part of speech. Okay, so glaring here is adjective, talking about there is something X what is equally glaring. Okay, mm, main verb and main subject. Main verb and main subject. Come on, guys, be quick. So, in any case, while the impasse persists, okay, I have only marked till here. So, given the conflicting case precedents, etc., these are all extra details. Impasse persists. Yes, that's the subject verb here. So, the tone that we find in the editorial today is critical because we need to take care of it immediately, and there is there is a lot of criticism, mild criticism we get to see because there is a lot of concern. Author is definitely worried about so many institutions having no one to lead. Then it is constitutional because it relates to the order passed by the courts and what was followed and what not was followed. So the Madras High Court, this is the summary, has stayed the operation of Tamil Nadu's amended acts that empowers the state to appoint VCs, effectively restoring those powers, okay, to the governor. This move halts momentum from the Supreme Court's earlier judgment. Okay, now there was earlier judgment that granted deemed assent. Okay, so it was the considered assent to pending bills. High Court's reliance on UGC regulation raises questions of constitutional hierarchy. कौन का regulation ज़्यादा मायने रखेगा? The court's haste, especially when the matter is pending, demonstrates judicial overreach. Why? It is not justified. क्यों इतनी जल्दबाजी हो रही है? A final ruling is needed on whether UGC rules can override state laws. Okay? So the answer here is A, acting hastily despite Supreme Court involvement. That's why editorial is criticizing the interim order. What was the hurry? B, allowing the state to bypass the UGC. But that's not what editorial is criticizing the interim order for. What is the central constitutional question raised by the editorial? Whether UGC regulations can override state legislation. Okay, so one versus the other. कौन का चलना चाहिए? C is the answer for the second one. Question number 3. Answer is C again. So the High Court's hasty order, just अभी हमने पढ़ा, despite ongoing proceedings in the Supreme Court, that's what author is calling misplaced urgency, unnecessary urgency, or maybe not unnecessary but inappropriate, not well justified. What did the state argue regarding Regulation 7.3? It was explicitly excluded via a caveat. एक conditional बात बोल के उसको exclude कर दिया गया था. B is the answer. You go and you can read in the passage what is written about Regulation 7.3. C is the answer. According to the editorial, judicial propriety would have entailed deferring decision until, means delaying the decision until Supreme Court hearing. They should have waited. Very easy to understand. Fifth is C. Error detection. Sixth question. The court has issued an interim order saying staying the amended acts which were already being. Now, which were being passed, ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता ना. सो यहाँ पे बीन भी है, पास्ट भी है, लेकिन वर के साथ ये कौन सा कॉम्बिनेशन है टेंस का? बहुत ही सिंपल. इफ इट इज पैसिव देन वी हैव टू यूज हैव हैड, देन बीन, देन वर्ब थर्ड फॉर्म. सो सी इज द आंसर. बट डेफिनेटली ऑफ कोर्स यहाँ पर वॉज वाला इशू नहीं था. आई थिंक आई सॉ समबडी रोट वॉज. ओके, वॉज नहीं, वॉज इज यूज विच वॉज. तो आप वॉज किसके लिए लगा रहे हो? Here we have which is for acts plural. तो was का तो need नहीं था. Seventh question. Very easy. Please always remember D is the answer. It is always the Supreme Court or Supreme Court of India. है ना, हम ऐसे लिखते हैं. So the bench cited the urgency of what? Restoring order in the universities. Even though the state's petition, the petition was pending before the Supreme Court. The article is needed. Answer is E. The governor, in his role as chancellor, had refused to what? Give assent, say yes to the bills. For what reasons? Not tenable, not how tenable? Constitutionally tenable. So you have adjective, you have adverb, and other things are right in its place. So There are two errors here. Okay. Can you now guess the error? There are two errors. Regulation 7.3 of UGC rules. Regulation तो एक ही है ना, तो mandates आएगा. That is only one part of regulation. Mandates the composition of search committees. That the composition of search committees which must be strictly adhering. No, these committees must strictly adhere to prescribed forms. This is a direct action. Committees are supposed to adhere. तो बी सी में से जाएगा और adhering का ing में से जाएगा. Adhered नहीं आएगा, adhere only adhere आएगा. Yep. Last one. The High Court interim relief. It is not a type of relief. So we have to use apostrophe S, okay, with the word court, because this relief was given by the court. So the High Court's interim relief was based on what? Previous judgments. कैसे judgments that declared similar appointment processes, declared something as something, declared processes as ultra vires of the constitution. So what we are seeing here is an interim relief, and this is provided by the court. That's why apostrophe s with the word court is very important. Okay, why being declared? See, my main sentence is actually relief was based on judgments. And this is the main part of the sentence, that the interim relief was based on judgments. Now you are explaining what type of judgments. So वो आप that लगाकर using that as a relative pronoun, you are doing very nicely, है ना? So that's it. That's it for today. Thank you so much all of you for attending the session. Tomorrow again we will meet here at 8 p.m. We do have classes of top 100 questions of RC, closed test, fillers, error detection, sentence correction, and a lot. And that class is going on at 1:30 p.m. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday. We go ahead with RC and parajumbles on Tuesday, error detection and sentence correction on Thursdays. And tomorrow we are going to work on vocab based questions, mostly fillers and closed tests. Okay, so be there. It's on our other channel. Okay, so the sessions are on our other channel. That's CGP IBPS Hub. Once again, don't forget to be a part of a Telegram group where you get all the PDFs and details. Link is in the description below. Bye bye.